Hi everyone, so this is the Mish Mash Entertainment Podcast. My name is Miki.
I'm DJ.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Nathan.
And much like every good superhero story, there is an origin, a beginning. And I want to know what everyone's origin story is. More importantly, when did you first know that you were a nerd or a geek? What was that defining pinnacle moment that you really knew that my interest, my passion, kind of sets me apart from other people, and that not everybody's going to be into it, or it's not as mainstream. Now more so than any time, but back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth and I was 12 years old, grade 8, we were in junior high, and I don't know if it was a snow day or what it was, but the two classes that were like my homeroom and the other homeroom, we kind of combined the classes together, and because only, 20 people showed up or something. In one room, we were watching Monty Python, The Life of Brian. You're 14 years old. Yeah, I know, right? And in the other room, we were playing D&D. Because a buddy of mine bought the 3rd edition starter set. And he thought, oh, this is really cool. And he's always had a passion for D&D, even going before I even really knew him, my good friend Jeremy. And anyway, so you had to choose. Which one were you going to do? Which one were you going to do? Well, because they didn't want people coming in and out of the rooms and all that stuff. So I went and played D&D. And I think that right there was probably my defining nerd moment for me. I knew that not everybody was going to really enjoy or share the similar interests as I. But yeah, that definitely set me on the path.
Yeah, cool. Cool.
I think mine, it was a very specific moment, and if this moment didn't happen, I probably wouldn't be sitting in this chair recording this podcast. You
would have died?
Well, I just wouldn't be in the same place, really. Still be in the world, be alive,
right.
It's okay. But, my mom took me to her friend's house, and her friend had these kids, and we walked in the door, her kids, bombarded us, and they came up to me, and they were like, our show's on, are you allowed to watch Card Captors? And I was like, what? And I had no idea what they were talking about, so we just started watching Card Captors, the anime, and it was at that moment that I fell in love with this show. We went on to eat dinner, and I was just asking them questions all about this show, and it was this most amazing thing. And then, so that went away, and I watched all of Card Captors at home. It was this thing. You came home from school, and you watched the show. It was great. And then the show ended, and then I started to watch shows very similar to it. So I also watched Mew Mew Power, Tokyo Mew Mew, whatever the English title is. And then they both ended, and later on I revisited Card Captors, and I realized that it was a whole genre and called anime, and that was just where I started my downhill spiral into this anime, video games, and everything. I mean, I even started, my mom had a Super Nintendo from when she was a kid, so I started playing that, and then we got the PlayStation, and I just, I was kind of born into it.
I have no idea what that show is.
Oh, really?
I've never heard of it before.
Which one? Card Captors?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Was that Yu-Gi-Oh or something?
No, it's I hate to say it's like Sailor Moon, but it's an anime for girls.
I know Sailor Moon.
They tried to change it and make it for boys and make her secondary character the main character. It didn't really work out very well, but they tried really hard.
Oh, fair enough.
So that's probably why I get canceled too.
Yeah, good chance. Yeah, no, I actually do know that one. I watched that when I was a lot younger as well. Although I'm significantly older than you, so I don't remember how old I was when that came out. But
yeah, when you said that your mom had a Super Nintendo when she was younger, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That's dated me.
That hurt. That hurt
Sorry,
a little
guys.
inside.
I had the NES.
Yeah.
I mean, now I have all of them. I have the
course,
NES,
yeah.
I have the Super NES, the GameCube,
I had the
64.
NES. I was 5. My grandfather bought me my NES, and I think that may have been what started me on my path. But my actual origin story, actually relates kind of to what DJ was saying. I was in grade 8. It was a choice. I played video games all through elementary. I played video games all through elementary school, and I had this best friend, and we were best friends. We hung out all the time, went over to his place, played GoldenEye, all that stuff back in the day. This was probably grade 7-ish. And then grade 8 came along, we were junior high, and all these other schools started kind of pulling in because I went to a high school that was 8 to 12 because we're in a rural area, not a lot of people.
Right.
But anyway, 8 to 12, grade 8, all these new kids came in, and my friend, he started to hang out with this other group of kids, and they didn't really play video games. They like went down to the river and smoked weed and smoked cigarettes, and my best friend was like hey, come with us. And then at the same time, with all this new group of kids that came in, there was this group of kids that played Pokemon in the English teacher's lunchroom, or room at lunch.
Right.
And so I was kind of at an impasse. I'm like, do I stick with my old friend, go down this path, or do I hide in the English teacher's room and play Pokemon at lunch? And I chose Pokemon, and that's I think the big deciding factor,
Right.
in my entrance into this life. But yeah, and I don't regret it.
Cool. I don't really have a single defining moment for becoming a nerd for me. I remember playing D&D with my older brother. He would make a character for me, and we'd just kind of screw around with my cousins, stuff like that. Back as early as maybe 7 or 8 years old, I used to go home and watch the Discovery Channel and just watch, back when it was nature documentaries before it became this weird thing that it is now, back in the early to late 90s. So I've kind of just always been a nerd, I guess. I loved playing card games. I watched Dragon Ball Z growing up. I watched all the crazy weird cartoons growing up. I guess maybe grade 4 or 5 when I realized that people didn't usually spend as much time playing video games or watching anime or cartoons as I did still at that point. I guess that's about all I have for that, I'm afraid.
I mean, I say that being in grade 8 was my defining moment, but I was told later on in life that my uncle, when he was younger, he played D&D, from first edition onwards. So we're talking when he was about 12 or 13, 14, very, very, very young. He apparently, when he would babysit me, he'd use me as a prop in his games. So I say I was doomed right from the get-go. I didn't
Seems
have
like
a
it.
chance. I was screwed. But oh well, there you have it. I embrace it.
So speaking of games,
Yes.
is anybody playing something specific right now?
Yeah, I've been playing Total War Warhammer, which I have
There's a Warhammer version of Total War.
Oh, it's so good. I'm so bad at strategy games, but I love it. It's just, I've been playing on normal difficulty, if anyone wants an idea of how bad I am, and I've been struggling and losing most of the time, so not great. But I just love strategy games, and it's also something I can pick up and put down really quickly. It's like maybe a battle that takes 40 minutes, then I can save. It won't even take 40 minutes, probably more like 10 or 15.
And you finish the campaign and other
Yeah, you would never sit down and finish a campaign in one sitting unless you're an absolute madman. But
I played Total War Medieval 2. That was a while ago. That was the last Total War game I played. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, I've only played Warhammer and Shogun 2, which I also had a good time with.
Right.
I've never been really into the Total War games. I mean, I enjoy strategy games. Like, RTSs are my jam.
Yeah.
But Total War just seemed like it was far too complicated for me to even try to begin playing it. Like Civilization, people say that's super complicated too.
It's not.
But I love Civ. Like, it is one of my most favorite games, and it was either I buy a new computer or I get a new cell phone.
Yeah.
And I thought, I need the cell phone far more than I need a new computer. So my 10-year-old laptop will just have to do.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Civ 6 is out now?
Yeah.
Civ 6?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to play that game so bad.
It's really
so
good.
bad.
That's another game I've been playing. I have some gripes with it, but it's overall I think it's a good game.
I played it near launch quite a bit, and there were issues, there were bugs, and apparently it's a lot better now.
I can't really say I've played a lot of RTS games. I'm generally really bad at them, but I really like puzzle games.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little bit similar in the fact that you have to strategize what you're doing,
Yeah.
but I really liked Catherine. Haven't you guys played Catherine?
I wanted to, but
I've
I never
heard
got
about
into
it.
it.
Oh my god. I played a good 120 hours into
Hot
that game.
damn.
Mind you,
Jesus.
it only takes about 4 or 5 for me to beat the game. But
Wow.
it's got this sort of idea where you can go out on different branches, different endings of the story. I think there's 9 different endings of the story. But in the same sense, I really like visual novels,
Oh, yeah.
which all have their different endings. And right now I'm playing the new Key game that they just came out on Steam not too long ago. I forget what it's called. It's horrible. Harmonia, that's what it is. It's really simple. It's a super simple game. It's like a story, choose your own adventure. Not that I've gotten to any of the questions or the answers yet.
Well, I have a question about like the visual novels and whatnot. That stuff originated in Japan, right?
Sure
Like that's
did.
not a Western
Nope.
thing. That's just something that. So when did those start being very overly prevalent? Did you notice? Because that's something that I've heard people progressively more and more talk about, that have the interest in the animes and whatnot.
I think it's
Animes.
when I got...
You kids and your
Animes.
animes and your Pokemans.
I think it became a lot more popular when they got different sorts of genres of games, because they used to be mostly just romantic games where you choose the girl and you find different endings, whether you get the bad ending with her and she hates you forever, or you get the good ending and you are together forever, or something silly like that. But now there's a lot of like horror games, and there's mysteries and all kinds of different things, and there's a lot of different choices. There's different aspects. They can have mini games in them now, which is not something that's common. It still really isn't that common, but the graphics have also gone up significantly. There's this one called Nekopara, which is on Steam, and I absolutely love it.
Okay.
But it's about these cat girls, and usually in visual novels, they stand still. It's just a still picture, like somebody draws it and that's it. But for this one, they move around. You can see them swaying back and forth, and you can see them blinking, and their mouths move when they talk, and it's really interesting. But some of
Okay.
those are done really badly. But this one's pretty good.
Well, that's just the evolution of anything, honestly. I mean, they're going to be those marketed improvements. Now, the burning question is, how many of these are adult?
The majority.
Yeah?
The vast majority
Yeah?
of them.
So,
Some of them have different versions. They have a version that's rated G, and then they have the version that's rated R.
so there's no PG. It's just there's either no boobies or all of the boobies.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Especially
we love
with
you,
the
Japan.
romantic ones.
We love you. Oh, well, I mean, that's just...
But all the
that's
ones on Steam, they take all of that out, too.
Oh, really? So
Oh,
there's
yeah.
no...
Nothing.
You can't buy the G version or the R
Well,
version.
usually, I know for Nekopara at 1, you can download the patch that
of
patches
course.
in all of the
Yes.
boobies.
Right.
But
Okay.
the version that you buy, it doesn't have any of that.
Is it downloadable content that you have to pay for?
I'm not sure,
Okay.
honestly. It might be.
I imagine
It's not
it is.
available on Steam, so...
Oh,
Can't
okay.
say.
So probably not.
Yeah, so I'm playing right now Last of Us, which is fantastic. I know I'm a bit late to the party, but I just got a PS4 a couple weeks ago. Never had a PS3. And I've always been pretty happy with my PC gaming, but lately these exclusives have been building up. Like Horizon Zero Dawn was probably my breaking point. I'm like, yeah, I need to get a PS4 because it's
the one with the
looks
bow, right?
amazing.
Yeah,
and
that
you
one
fight.
looks like an amazing
Yeah,
game.
you fight robot dinosaurs. Like
Yeah.
that alone sells the game for me. Robot
Brings it back to, like,
dinosaurs.
Turok.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatnot,
Turok,
yeah.
but you know, good.
Oh, snap. Oh,
liked-
get wrecked, Turok.
I
Get
owned
wrecked.
I owned all the
You should be careful
Turoks.
peeking.
I owned all the Turoks, and they were good, but they don't age very well at all. It's like the fog is insane. Like the original Turok, you could only see like 50 feet in front of you, so you could walk along. There's an enemy there who you should have been able to see, and I guess there's a remastered version that I thought about getting that takes that out, but I didn't.
Well, that added a
but I
certain
didn't.
element to the game
Yeah.
at that point. I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
yeah.
You had to be on your toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But between between Horizon Zero Dawn, Last of Us, Bloodborne's on my list too. I just found there's enough reason for me to get a PS4 now.
So you're a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, exactly. I played the Dark Souls games to death on PC, a little bit on Xbox.
Well,
as
it's good to see that you played them to death and them not playing
not-
you to death, because
Well,
I felt as though I've wanted to just and hero when I've played
Oh,
that
yeah.
game.
It-
I mean, it's
It beat me down 3 times. Literally, my friend told me this is the amazing game, the first Dark Souls, because I didn't have a PS3, so I couldn't do Demon Souls, which is actually the first game. But I entered it Dark Souls because I heard
Dark Souls was the second game.
Well, Dark Souls was a spiritual successor.
Okay.
I know my twin brother, he absolutely loves those games, and he played the first one to death, and I think he still plays them. I don't know.
They're great. The third one just came out a year or two ago. But like my friend told me that I really need to play this game, so I tried, and I couldn't make it to the tutorial level, so I stopped. I'm like, this is insane. So then he's like, no, just try it again. So I did. I tried it again, and beat the tutorial finally. It's fantastic. And then I got out of the tutorial, and once you get there, the game's a little bit open. Like there's three different ways.
I've restarted the first game so many times, and I still don't know where I'm supposed to go. Like, I just ended up somewhere by chance.
Yeah, there are three paths. So like you can go out. There's the most difficult way, I think, is like the way with the skeletons, because they don't die until you get a divine weapon. And then there's an elevator that takes you down to the catacombs, and that's almost as hard. And the way you're supposed to go is this path that leads up around the mountain, which I missed.
Oh,
and
shit! I went up the easy path, and I still wanted to kill myself. Wow!
You go to the undead village, is what it's called. And that's where you're supposed to go, and I didn't see that. And so I literally had to have my friend. He sat down with me, and he's like, "No, you go there." And then it was doable, and then I just fell in love with the game. Like the level's so connected. Like as you progress, and you find these shortcuts, and like, oh, that was there the whole time. But yeah, it's really, and the game, like, it's punishing. It teaches you. When you go to fight a boss, it really teaches you to be careful, not be careless. Don't go for that extra hit, which is how I always played games before that. Like, I'm just going to swing until they're dead, but you can't, because that taking an extra swing, the boss is going to counter and, like, killing one hit potentially.
Well, and that's the thing I've seen is, like, every boss fight, doesn't matter how powerful, how good your gear is, they're still going to take a third or a half, or, maybe if it's nice, a quarter of your hit points with every hit. Right. And then you're probably going to get knocked down, which sets them up to do, like, a slam attack or something, which is then going to do another half or quarter or a third.
It's like getting caught in
could just end you.
A bad Street Fighter combo or something.
Yeah, very disappointing in myself. I'm trying to play a Breath of the Wild, but I'm really bad at it.
Trying.
I've never really played a Zelda game before, so I don't really know what I'm supposed to do to begin with.
Well, that's good, because this one is apparently completely different from every other Zelda game
This is what I've heard,
possible.
and I actually really like it, so it's okay. But I have this issue where I just want to hit everything until it's dead, but it doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
And I keep dying, and it's just this endless struggle.
Yeah. Just bringing it back to Last of Us, it's one of my favorite games. I kind of want to loop back around.
Oh yeah, it's
How do you feel about it so far?
I love it. I'm about two thirds of the way through, I think, and it's one of the best games ever. It's a fantastic mix of, I find, like, it's a good, solid, tight shooter, but the story is just so well written, and the characters. Like, I haven't really connected with characters like this in quite a while.
Yeah, the characters were by far my favorite part of that
and like
game.
the story is like you're basically escorting like a 14-year-old girl, and she actually acts like what a 14-year-old might act like. Like, she's kind of silly, doesn't always take things seriously, doesn't fully comprehend to a certain extent what's going around, I find. And the zombies are, for anyone who hasn't played, it's like fungal zombies where they, like, attach yourselves.
The cordyceps. It's...
Yeah.
Which is freaky as all hell.
Yeah.
It truly is. Like, that's scary to me. Honestly, the fact that it's an airborne toxin, basically, and you'd have to wear a gas mask or some sort of protectiveness, just in order to prevent yourself from becoming infected. Like, it's like a gust of wind could kill you, in theory, from that kind of thing.
I didn't know there was, like, a kind of zombie that was like that.
I think this was the first.
Yes.
As far as I know.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, I believe this is the first kind of idea of its kind. It's based off of an actual type of fungus that will infect ants. Well, actually, I think Matt knows a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it infects ants, and it'll essentially controls their mind. It makes them climb up onto the top of plants. I think usually stems of grass and stuff like that, and they will clamp on tight, and they will wait there. And they can either be eaten by birds, where their spores can be spread that way, or they can the ants will stay there until they die, and the spores will pop out of the head of the ant and start raining down on the surface below, where it will infect other ants. So essentially, exactly what happens in The Last of Us with the zombies, I guess you'd call them, and the undead. The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would call them zombies, right? Like, you wouldn't just call them infected or anything like that, right?
I think that's how they refer to them. They only ever call them infected. They call
Just
them zombies?
infected. I think it's mostly they call them infected.
Yeah, they are essentially zombies, though.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, they probably it's a psychological thing, right? To call them infected is still dehumanizing them, but it's still they're still over the hope of, oh, maybe they can be cured, which is again the entire plot of The Last of Us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean calling zombies infected has been a thing for a while now. Like that's just kind of the new term for zombies. You think of Left 4 Dead. They'll call them
Right.
infected.
Yeah.
Things like that.
If anyone watches The Walking Dead, I notice even within the show they're called different things. When the main group of characters in The Walking Dead meet new people, sometimes they'll have a different word for what they're called.
Yeah.
They'll be called walkers. Some people I don't know if I remember actually hearing them call them zombies in The Walking Dead, but it just shows like different groups of people spring up and they don't really talk to each other. What comes to their mind, how they develop their words and their words for these things.
Yeah. I think part of it is, I think maybe they're trying to avoid zombie fatigue as it is, even though they are essentially zombies, or it's just a new way to, no. It doesn't work.
Yeah, that's fair. Which actually brings me to the question of, do we think that the whole fungal zombie thing is viable, and do we think that other types of zombie infections is just straight up bullshit? I mean, like the original zombie mythos came from voodoo.
Yeah.
Like people being cursed, right? That's where it all started, and then Romero came in and revolutionized it essentially with the whole biting infection, eating people's flesh, and all that other stuff, right? And then there's the 28 days later, which the rage virus, again, infection, not turning or whatever it is, or rising from the graves. I mean, there's the two types of zombies, the type 1 and type 2s, right?
Yeah.
Type 1, I believe, is the fast-moving, running, jumping, clawing, operating doors, and all that shit. And then there's the type 2, which is the type, the Romero, drag the feet, brains type of zombie.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'd be more, I don't know. I guess both were equally as terrifying, but...
Now, from a point of view, because I don't really like zombies, I don't really think they're that interesting. Well, to play the games and to watch the movies and to read the stories, I don't really think they're that interesting. They always seem to be the same thing. Zombies try and take over the world. Somebody tries to cure them.
Yeah.
It's the same base. But the only kind of zombies that really seem viable or like that could happen would be if a disease came around and it spread like a viral infection. Because we've had diseases that were pretty bad, like Ebola was really
kind of
close.
like World War Z.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say.
Actually, the movie kind of deviates quite a bit from the book, but it takes the same base premise. It's pretty neat nonetheless.
But
I recommend it.
In that sense, when somebody can catch it and it starts to like eat them away and they start to rot, but if they scratch someone or they bite someone or whatever happens, God knows, and then it transfers that way.
Yeah.
That seems like a very violent... I mean, we have so much human interaction that it's almost unavoidable.
That's why I like the fungal zombies, because it's not like you kill the zombie and the threat's over. The cordyceps are still there and they can still sprout off the dead body and spread that way, which is why I think they're probably my favorite zombies out there, because they're the most realistic, where you can't just say, oh, you'd shoot the first zombie and it'd be over. First of all, in Last of Us, it was a bunch of people that got infected and then it just kind of spread from there, which is how it would have to happen if it wasn't going to be stopped very quickly. And it was like, by the time you figure out exactly what's happening, why these people are freaking out, there's going to be spores everywhere.
Well, I mean, if it was like a disease, there's always that certain period, whether it's 3 days or it's a month, where you have no idea you even have anything.
Yeah.
And then even after something can kill you, there's still bacteria in you, some things still live on.
Yeah.
And it's until you're really composting the ground that there's no threat.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
There's always a chance that it could be transferred on some way, somehow.
Yeah.
The zombies in Last of Us I really like too, because you're talking about the realistic aspect.
Yeah.
I like that the infected, like when they attack you, you don't have to do that cliche shoot them in the head thing. Like in another zombie fiction, you can literally like blast away their entire midsections and they're still walking around. Like how are they walking around? How's their body moving? Like that kind of checks me out of the immersion kind of. But when you see zombies that they're basically just functioning like a regular human body, just their brain is taken over by this parasite. So I don't know. I kind of like that.
Yeah,
but in
that's
the
kind of
sense
what
that
I
it's
think,
realistic.
too.
Yeah, it's also scary because the more realistic they make it, the more I think, hey, could this kind of thing actually happen?
The more it goes into your dreams and you're terrified to sleep at night.
Exactly.
You know, I had the issue with Rooster Teeth's Day 5.
Oh, really?
Have
Where-
not seen it.
Okay, well,
I haven't.
talk about
I
it
know.
too much.
I know what happened. I know the base idea. Again, this comes from me forgetting that I was a first member. I forgot. And then I saw a statement saying, "Oh, Rooster Teeth first. Here's your 6-month re-upping." And I thought, "Oh, neat." All that I know is that if you fall asleep, you die.
Yeah.
That is all that I know about the game. And they pick up on the 5th day of this.
No, they go back. I think they pick up on like the 2nd or 3rd day.
I think they pick up on the
okay.
first day because they follow around.
Yeah, they follow around a group of people.
Well, the first episode, I only saw the first 2 episodes. I meant to watch it once they all came out because I was getting tired of waiting a week in between like 10, 15-minute episodes, whatever they were. But they follow
Really?
someone...
They're only 15-minute
no,
episodes?
they were like 30, 45 minutes.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, I was just like, I'll watch them all when they come out on my own time. And they follow someone around on the first day as he's walking around trying to figure out what happened.
That's right. Yeah, the main character, and then he meets the boy, and then
Who's the main character?
I'm not sure.
I don't know the actor's name. It's
not somebody in-house in Rooster Teeth.
No,
as far as I know.
There's hardly anyone in-house in Rooster Teeth
Oh,
that's
that's cool.
actually in it.
All right.
They do a lot of cameos, though.
Yeah, of course.
But, like, watching that show, and then I have this really bad habit of watching things before I go to sleep. And that was one of the things, like, oh, the new episode of Day 5, so I'll watch it, and then I'll go to sleep. No, bad idea. I had nightmares for weeks.
Yeah. I guess I'm lucky in that I don't think I've ever had a nightmare after watching something. Things like that don't stick with me. So
I had nightmares after watching The Corpse Bride as a kid. So.
Wow. I have a very overactive imagination.
Yeah, I don't. That's my
it gets
problem.
the better of me. It really does. But just harking back to the whole zombie idea, is the more realistic they are, the more what's the word I'm looking for? The higher chance that it is to actually happen, I guess. You know, like the more that they make it, the more that you can actually connect to the zombies itself and be like, oh my god, that's what I'd do in this situation. That's how I would react, and kind of thing like that. But just the base premise of it is that it's an unstoppable, unrelenting horde. So that if it blew off an arm, it doesn't even notice. It just keeps coming. Or if it were to lose a leg, it'll just hobble around. Or if it loses its, it's the fact that it doesn't feel pain. It doesn't feel exhaustion. It doesn't feel other than the hunger or whatever else it is, right?
Yeah.
So that's the big scary thing about it. Again, like, because if, where it's so much different than us, we don't understand it, right? So, like, again, you get shot in the leg, or if I get shot in the leg, it's gonna hurt. Oh my god, we can't walk. Oh god, I'm bleeding. I could bleed to death. I could die of infection. I could all this other stuff. I could die of like lead poisoning or whatever. But a zombie just doesn't care. It doesn't think about it. It doesn't slow it down necessarily, right? It just goes, continues, doesn't stop.
That does happen in The Last of Us as well, because they don't just drop from one gunshot, which realistically, if you shoot someone, they're going to drop to the ground. Whether or not they can fight back still is another matter. Maybe they can pop up a few more shots, but they're not going to be up and walking around for the most part. If you
Well,
shoot
I mean, but the fungal infection could also as well, could also numb pain.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like there's still that unrelenting force. It's just that they will die if you do things to a human that would kill them. You can't stop them from pain. I can't remember. Can you blow off limbs in The Last of Us?
I don't think
just
so.
heads. I think.
Yeah, I think it's just
headshots.
heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. I haven't played it since I played it when it first came out. I pre-ordered it, and then I played it again when it came out for PS4. I didn't buy a second copy. I just replayed my old version, so I haven't even played it in HD yet. Well,
first world problem.
80p or
That's
whatever.
the only version I have is the remastered one, so I don't really know the difference because I never played the original. But it's
Prettier graphics, I'm pretty sure, is the
Speaking of nicer graphics, you were talking about earlier a game that there was the fog and it was really bad, and then there was newer
Turok.
games.
Turok. Yeah.
Have you guys ever noticed how some games or movies or shows can really hold up really well?
Like Jurassic Park, yes.
Yeah.
Jurassic
All
Park,
right,
yeah,
yeah,
that holds up.
Yeah. Speaking of dinosaurs, yep. All right. All right. Cool. Continue with that.
There's some things that don't hold up at all.
Yeah.
But then there's some, not just stories. Stories hold up really well, it feels, at least. But, like, TV shows and movies and whatnot. they
Like
don't
Power
seem-
Rangers.
Effects get outdated and stories become kind of
Exactly, yeah.
Cliche.
predictable and cliche. Yeah.
I have a great example for your point, Miki, where I tried to go back and replay Ocarina of Time not too long ago.
You're gonna make a lot of people angry with that stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna hate me. I love it, but
I'm not a huge Nintendo guy, but Ocarina of Time was my jam.
it was fantastic, yeah, and I loved it at the time, and it was amazing. The Link to the Past is still probably the Super Nintendo Zelda is still my absolute favorite, because when I go back to play Link to the Past, I find that it ages so much better, and I think it's something about like the 2D graphics, especially when 2D graphics are done really well.
Well, I think I actually know why that is. It's because at the time that Link to the Past was made, 2D graphics were already kind of where they were going to be, whereas Zelda Ocarina of Time was a new foray into 3D graphics for Zelda.
That's fair.
And some of the controls are
Which
pretty
came out
clunky.
first? Super Mario 64 was a launch title, right? And
Yes.
then Ocarina of Time came out after.
Yeah, but it
think
was
so,
it was still within a small enough
Yeah,
window
well,
that
I mean,
it's going to be.
they're probably both being made at the same time. It's just they didn't want to release, blow their load all at the one time, right?
Yeah.
Which
Well, they almost
Nintendo's
always have a Mario as a launch title.
Yeah,
for Nintendo
yeah. Well, I
consoles.
mean,
Some kind,
that's
yeah.
because Mario is
That's
The
the flagship.
Nintendo
Nintendo.
game,
It
yeah.
is the face of Nintendo.
I
Or
mean, but that's
Jumper
Nintendo.
Man was that it?
Well, Jumperman was in
Jumperman?
Donkey Kong,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
an arcade game even before the Atari came out, really.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Nintendo for you though. They are their flagship franchises. They have the occasional other game that gets big, but for the most part, what you buy a Nintendo console for is for their already established flagship characters: Zelda, Link, and
Zelda, Link, or no, Link. Damn it!
well, I mean both Zelda games and Link, the mascot character. Although I'm sure a lot of people also identify with Zelda as she's been in.
Yeah,
She's,
no,
she's
every
also
game,
the title
everyone.
of the
She's
game.
a
Yeah,
big
she
part of
is.
it.
So-
She's the Legend of Zelda, of course. But Mario and I'm blanking on other Nintendo mascots.
Star Fox.
Kirby.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, both.
Yeah, I mean, then you've got things like
Smash
Yoshi
Bros.
and
too.
like Smash Bros.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yoshi was really big.
Yeah, I've heard Yoshi's Woolly World is really good, but I've never played it myself.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I
actually,
don't know.
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I know as a game that I think holds up really well, it has to be the Super Mario Brothers Lost Levels. Which it's for the Super Nintendo. It was supposed to be the original, not the original really, but the second Super Mario Brothers game. And it released in Japan as Super Mario Brothers 2. But the North American distributors thought it would be too difficult for the North American players.
Oh wow.
So they took a completely different game, unrelated to Super Mario Brothers altogether, and then reskinned it so they would have Mario characters.
Doki Doki Panic, that's what it's
That's
called.
what it is. Yeah, that's the Super Mario Brothers 2 that we all know.
Yeah.
But if you get the Super Mario Brothers All-Stars, which came out for the Super Nintendo, it has all of the games on it.
Yeah.
And it has Lost Levels, which is included, which you can't buy separately in North America. And it is really hard, but it also holds up really well because it's so difficult.
Yeah.
Can't say I've ever even come close to beating it, but it's always fun to play, just to try.
Which is the one with Birdo in it?
That's the Super Mario Brothers 2 that
Okay,
we all
yeah.
know.
That's the American version of it.
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember playing that game at my grandparents' house. Called my nanny and Bubba. I don't know why, just did.
Yeah.
And my uncle Trevor, the one who used me as a prop in his D&D games, he would, we'd come down and have our save file and be playing it. And he said, "I'm not going to touch the save file. I'm not going to play it while you're not around or anything, or when I'm visiting or anything like that. Don't worry, you can play it on your own. But just make sure I'm there before when you beat the game." And I was like, okay, cool. He wants to share in the jubilations and elatement of me beating this game finally. And I remember not just being stunned, shocked at the end of it, because, spoiler alert, it's all a dream.
Yeah.
Is it actually?
It
I've
is.
never
Yes,
beaten
it ends in a dream. The
but
credit
I've never-
sequence, it goes like blah blah blah. Here's the blurb and everything, and then it goes to black. Credits start rolling, and it's Mario laying in a bed, snoring, and the thought bubble, like the dream bubble, showing you going through the levels.
That's actually really disappointing.
Oh my god, it
That's
was.
the tie-in to Mario.
Yeah.
This is how it's a Mario game,
Yeah.
everyone.
It was a
Interesting.
dream.
Okay, because
God,
I
it
can't
was-
say I've ever really gotten past the second world in that game because I just didn't. It didn't feel like a Mario game, which I guess I was right about.
Yeah.
But it just the interest wasn't it wasn't the same as the other Mario games.
Yeah. Just to circle back around to your thing, because I cut you off there. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
But with Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Miki, how's your day? No,
Thanks. No, I mean, that basically was my point, is that
Okay.
when I go back to play old games, like the Link to the Past, Aegis, I find a lot better than Ocarina of Time. As much as I love Ocarina of Time, it's fantastic. I have played it through a couple times, but I find it a lot easier to go back and play Link to the Past. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the same reason why like a PS2 or a PS3 game holds up a lot better than most of the 3D PS1 games, which are often hard to look at. And in my opinion, GoldenEye really, really hasn't held up. I know
Not
one
even
person-
close.
You know,
That's-
I
I mean,
remember
I love the
playing that
game,
as a
but-
kid, and I thought it was the best game.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. And then I found it recently, like last year or something, and I played it, and I was like, this is really hard to do. This
It's
is really hard to look
control,
at. It's hard
it's
to control.
hard to tell what's
and
what.
you move so slowly. I don't remember moving so slowly.
If you're interested in replaying GoldenEye, the people, some people remade it in the Source engine, like the engine that
course,
Half-Life
yeah.
games.
course.
I think it's just called GoldenEye Source or something, but you can Google
Yeah.
it, you can find it. It's fantastic.
I've never played it.
What?
What you have GoldenEye Source.
Oh, okay.
What I would not recommend doing is buying the GoldenEye that came out for GameCube. That was a piece of trash.
There was a
There was
GoldenEye
a
Or
game
I think it was
for
maybe
GameCube?
Wii. It was either Wii or GameCube. It's been a long time since I played. I think it was
Hot
Wii.
damn. All right.
It was hot garbage.
Yeah.
Someone took it and made it into a generic third-person shooter. I never got past the first level because I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, although I got a golden Wiimote out of it, so it was for the Wii. Yeah.
That's
I-
right. I
I-
remember that now.
yeah.
The Golden Wiimote.
I
Yeah.
remember that was a game that my dad loved.
Yeah.
He loves the James Bond movies and all that stuff, and he just played the hell out of that game. We'd get every single cheat for him. He'd throw on whatever cheat he could just to screw around with. But I remember that was one of the first games that my dad really, really got into, which is really cool.
I know another game that did not hold up at all, just like GoldenEye,
Yeah.
was Star Fox 64.
Oh.
I have the Star Fox for the Super Nintendo, and that was a lot of fun. The 2D graphics worked well for what they had.
Yeah.
And then I popped in Star Fox 64, and it was difficult to look at again. It was hard to control.
Yeah.
It was just really weird. And then when you have to do the barrel rolls in the game, it just looks really weird.
Yeah.
If you've seen it, it's just so bizarre.
Yeah.
A game, in my opinion, that holds up, that I think holds up incredibly well, Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. I mean. Yeah.
Okay, the in-game cinematics, not so much. But the cinematics that you don't control, I think were so far beyond their time at that time for just the PlayStation 1. It was fantastic.
Yeah, they still look good today.
They
Like,
still, yeah.
You know, I'm not a huge fan of Final Fantasy, and I can't really say I've played any of the games. I know I'm a horrible person.
How can you know if you're not a fan of them if you haven't
But
played them?
I have played one of them actually.
Which one? This is
I
important.
had to stay in a motel with my mom in Truro of all places.
Don't say 9, don't say 9, don't say 9,
And I don't
say
even
9.
know which one it was, but
Who's the main character?
I don't know. I didn't play really long enough, and it didn't stick in my head.
Did you have a gun
but-
sword?
I don't remember. I just remember going into this castle. The graphics were really bad. I had to talk to this guy. He was like, "Be on my team," and I was like, "Oh, this game."
How long ago was it?
The game was old when I played it.
It might have been like one of the early Final
It was
Fantasies.
on the PS2.
Two?
Because, yeah. It was on the PS2,
So it was
and it
either-
had a
so
couple
it's
of
10.
discs. It
Couple
may
of
have been-
discs? No, 10 was one.
It wasn't 10. This I know for sure.
But 9 was on PS1 and
Yeah.
10 was on PS2.
PS2 is backwards compatible. It could have been 9.
Could've
Was
been- PS2? Yeah, you could play
Oh,
PlayStation
yeah.
1 games. Yeah.
But I remember borrowing 2 games, Jak 2, and I absolutely love the Jak and Daxter series, so
Oh.
I was just kind of holding off playing that. And the Final Fantasy game, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I can give Final Fantasy a chance. I mean, I've played Jak and Daxter like 6 times over. So I played it, and I played a good 20, 30 minutes of it, and it was just so uninteresting to me, and there was not as much action. I mean, maybe if I went back, I could play it, because I play a lot of visual novels, so the fact that there's no action isn't bothersome anymore, but at the time it was just painful.
Try again.
Out of curiosity, was it one of the 3D ones or 2D? Or
It was 2D.
it was 2D? Okay, so
Oh,
it would have
snap.
been 6 or before.
Yeah.
Because starting at 7, they became 3D. So you probably played...
Did you play Cecil?
I have no idea.
Yeah, she doesn't
I have
know.
absolutely no idea. I just remember everything was really dark.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
this
that sounds like it
dark
was 3.
castle,
Sounds like
dark
it was 3.
everything.
Yeah.
Or 6 here. I don't know. The numbering of the games just totally confused the hell out of me.
Would have come out here as 3, 6 in Japan,
Right,
and then
okay.
6 when it was released in the Anthology collection for 5 and 6. Yes, I know. Final
Dropping
Fantasy.
some knowledge bombs. All right.
So, if you know Final Fantasy, have you played the phone game Brave Exvius?
I haven't. I was told by one person that was really good, and then I think it was my brother that was like, "No, it's garbage. Don't bother."
I'm really into it, so I'm not gonna lie. I really like it.
I tried it, but I have so many other phone games that I play. I just don't have time. I honestly, but it's a typical thing. I mean, you got to spend the in-game currency to level up your character, spend the in-game currency to do this. You can only have a certain amount of energy and do another certain amount of battles at a time, and until your energy has to refill and all that other junk, right? So I mean, it's
they're all very
typical
similar,
model,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, but I think one of the only things that's keeping me playing is I have a friend who's playing it, so we kind of talk about it. Because normally I find I get very bored with mobile games, and I find the battery they use so much battery life. But with this, what I find, I've gotten into a kind of routine. Like I have to bus to work, so my bus ride to work, I spend all my in-game currency,
right.
and by the time I'm done work on my way home, it's built up again. I spend it again.
There you
So
go.
it's kind of like it's kind of efficient.
Makes sense.
Well, and I mean, phone games here in North America are nowhere, and even in Europe, are nowhere near as popular as they are in Japan and in China. Like,
Right.
they are basically eschewing consoles. That's why Nintendo wanted the Switch, because nobody is really playing with the straight up consoles anymore. It's always about portable stuff. What can you bring? There's some people who will have 2-3 hour long commutes to get to and from work. I mean, that is just ridiculous. I can't even imagine that here.
Yeah.
I have an
But-
hour, and that's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, well, to get to school, same thing with me, like an hour long bus ride.
I think that's also why, like the Nintendo DS and handheld gaming is so big in Japan.
Huge.
And that's
Huge.
probably the motivator behind the Nintendo Switch, which can be either your
Oh
console.
my God, they're
or-
switching from a console to handheld.
God.
For phone games, they recently came out with, a few years ago, the original Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior games on the phone. So you can buy them for like $2.
What's pardon my ignorance, but what is Dragon Quest? What's
It's
that?
one of the original JRPGs that came out. If you've ever seen it, it looks like it has Dragon Ball artwork, because the artwork is by Akira Toriyama, I think is his name. The guy,
Really?
Yeah.
The guy who actually created Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love the artwork that comes out
And
of
it's
that
a really
series.
good game. And
It
I
is.
know I started off with the 9th game, and was it Dragon Quest 9? Yeah. But it was for the 3DS. And it was a really good game. I spent over 100 hours in that game.
Yeah.
And then I eventually got a Nintendo, and I got the first 4 for that.
Nice.
And
So is it your
so-
typical RPG? Like
Yeah,
much like
kind of
Final
like-
Fantasy?
like
Like
the
you have your
early-
character levels, you have your gear, you have
Yeah,
your classes, you have your abilities.
Yeah.
Was it already class-based at that point, or did that come later on? I know the one I played
I'm
was...
not sure when it came on. I think it came on around 5 or 6,
Okay.
where the classes came in.
Okay, because I remember playing... it was called Dragon Warrior, I think.
That was the original
And I had
game.
that on Nintendo when I was younger,
Yeah.
but I can't really remember anything about it because I played it on the original Nintendo.
That game came free with a Nintendo Power subscription at one point.
Oh, really?
That's how
The
I.
first
Oh God, Nintendo Power.
I know. I had a Nintendo Power subscription for most of its life cycle,
Oh, yeah.
and that's how I played Dragon Warrior, because my grandmother bought me Nintendo Power subscription like the first couple episodes or issues, sorry. And
Episodes.
first
God.
couple episodes.
Because
of
we are in a
Nintendo Power.
digital world now, people. Digital
Everything's
world.
episodes, but it was really good, yeah. And apparently,
This is going to be part 1, not episode 1. We're breaking the mold, guys. Breaking the mold.
but yeah, I haven't played any of the newer Dragon Warriors. I've heard really good things.
Yeah, I can't remember the last one I played. But it was also on the DS. It might have been the same one you played, but
It could have been. I know, what was it, 7 or 8? Also was on the DS. Not the 3DS, but the DS.
that might have been it. But I'm pretty sure it was one of the games I bought with my 3DS. I didn't get a DS until very late in its life cycle. In fact, it was after the 3DS came out. So that's a thing. And then I got a 3DS like a couple months later, I seem to remember. So,
Yeah, I know. After I played the original, or not the original Dragon Quest, but the 9th one, the one that I played originally.
yeah.
it was really good. It was really interactive, and you could do a lot of different things. You could go completely off the story because it was an open world game, even though it was on the 3DS.
Yeah.
So you could do all these amazing things. There were so many side quests, and to this day, I still have not even come close to 100%ing this game.
Yeah.
But that's what I decided. I was like, oh, I'm going to get more of these games because they're really good.
Yeah.
But they're the same idea as Final Fantasy in some aspects.
Yeah.
Speaking of super open world games, who got sucked into buying Skyrim Remastered? I know I did.
I got it for free.
I got it for
because I'm a
free.
PC gamer.
Shut up.
You scrub.
Shut up. Shut up.
Same. I actually haven't tried it yet. I put 150 hours into the original version.
Oh, I've bought 3 special edition games in my gaming life, right? First one being Skyrim, second one being Diablo 3, and the third one, Fallout 4. Yes, I have the Pip-Boy. And yes, it cost me $240.
Oh my god.
Yep. And I also bought the season pass for it, which this is actually one of the few games for season pass I actually bought, and I kind of regret it because there was only 5 DLCs for it.
Yeah, but they were big. They were big DLCs. For the most part.
The Nuka World one, yes. Actually, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
They were pretty good.
There
were pretty
are
good.
some that
I take it back.
There are some that weren't really worth it. I also bought the season pass,
The
but
Workshop.
yeah. There were 2 that were worth it, and one of them was Nuka World, and there was another story.
Far
one. Yeah, Far Harbor.
It's in Boston. It's Fahaba.
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 I heard really good things about that DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
You know, I
It
can't
was actually
say I really buy these limited edition or special edition.
Bethesda
games.
has their hand in my back pocket.
Yeah.
They really do. Like, it's Fallout Shelter.
I tried it.
I have spent so much money on lunch boxes.
Wow.
And that's initially for mobile. Now I have it for the Xbox One, and I saw they went on sale, so it was like $12.99, eh? Half price for those lunch boxes.
Yeah.
I gotta do it. So I did, of course. So I think I've spent like close to $150 on Fallout Shelter, which
Yeah.
is embarrassing. It
Yeah.
truly is embarrassing. But I love that game so much, and I love Bethesda, and I want them to make the next Elder Scrolls game so bad.
Yeah.
Like,
You know-
which I think is a part of a completely different topic.
Yeah.
And podcast that we could talk about, because I have so many ideas and theories as to where it could be.
Okay.
When we were thinking up names for this podcast, one of the ideas that I thought of was Time Sync. And
Okay.
at one point, I was like, it sounds kind of cool, but at the same time, people might not get it. But after what you were just saying, we all spend so much time in these games,
Oh, it's
we're
true.
really sinking all of our time into it. But
Yeah.
I think the Mish Mash podcast fits us a lot better.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we
We've
went
talked
from...
about so many different
Well,
things.
that's the thing, too, right? And we're not just going to talk about one thing.
Yeah.
But I think as we should be probably wrapping up here at this point, I wanted to ask people their thoughts as to the state of basically, movies. Like movies and what they think is going to be like the new hotness, or what they think of the new hotness. And are movies bigger now than they have been in the past? Or, because I remember my father telling me about how when he used to go to the movies, he's an old man now, he's 58, I think. So when he remembers seeing Star Wars in theaters. Like, I mean, that's a time. But he says he remembers when his parents used to go out to the theater, and maybe he was left to being babysat by his sisters or whatever, or they're just fend for themselves kind of thing. I don't know. Not saying my grandparents were bad parents, not saying that at all. But he said that when you used to go to the theaters, you used to get dressed up. Like, it used to be an outing. Like, you used to get, it's like you're going out to a fancy dinner, or you're going out to a social party. Like, you dressed up to look good anytime you left the house, really, but especially to go to the movies or to a play or to a social event. You always got dressed up. Now it's, not quite like it was anymore.
Yeah, it's like, hey, it's going to be dark there. I can wear track pants, right?
Something
No one will see me.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with flights, right? I mean, you used to be flying, you got dressed for, but it's just so commonplace now. The idea of getting dressed up for... There's so many movies that come out that people see so many of them. The idea of getting dressed up for every single movie, it's not really a huge event anymore. It's just what you do. I'm not a huge movie guy, so I'm not the best one to talk about this, but that just happens with any new technology. As it gets cheaper and more it gets more readily available, even though we think about movie tickets as being so expensive nowadays. I'm sure it must have been way worse.
I don't know.
back
I
in the
mean,
day.
I remember, again, talking to the old curmudgeon folks in my life, how it used to go, my grandfather, rest him now, used to take my grandmother, and they would go see you drive in for $1. Okay, go see you drive in, get 2 burgers, fries, shakes, pop, whatever, fill up the tank of gas, and he said I'd still have like a dime or a nickel left over after all that. And I'm thinking, oh God, you're old.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I read a book recently, and this was right at the dawn of the theaters. And they would go and they would see a black and white silent film, and they said it was a penny to go see this. But, it was in England, so it was whatever they call them, pence or whatever.
Yeah.
But
not a half pence. I actually have one of those.
I have absolutely no idea. But they made like £1 an hour, but the movie was still a pence or a penny or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So at the same time, I wonder how cheap it was for them compared to now, considering it's $13, $14 just to see the movie alone.
Yeah.
Well, that's just the bare minimum. Are you going to go watch it in 3D? Are you going to go watch it in like the selective seatings? Are you going to have the wraparound screen and all the surround sound and all that extra stuff? I mean,
The D-box, the one that the seats move during the movie.
I really wanted.
I
I would like to, but I don't want to shell out $30 just to go see a movie.
$30.
Oh, it's pretty friggin' ridiculous. Honestly, I think.
Honestly, I kind of try to avoid the movies sometimes, but just because they're so expensive.
They're expensive.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, dinner and a movie's all that nice thing, but when dinner costs as much as the movies, oh God, thank you Netflix for existing.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Really. Anyways, this seems to be getting to the end of our podcast here. Like you said, it's time to wrap up. So, thanks for listening. Bye, everyone.